Historic event. And this week, gentlemen, the name on the marquee, man, oh man, has got to be Alex Pereira, who defeated Jamal Hill, defending his UFC light heavyweight title. It was sort of a unification bout because Jamal Hill had taken the belt from Glover Teixeira and never lost the belt. He never got to defend it, but he never lost it because he went down with an injury and had to vacate. So this was a sort of a unification bout. It felt like, but Pereira defeated Jamal Hill by knockout, 3-14 of the very first round. Mark, give us your thoughts on how this fight played out across the three plus minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get a ton of fighting, but before we get to that, the vibes going into this thing were awesome. Like the interactions at the press conference, Jamal walking around with the little, I don't know what you call that, but the
Stonehenge.
yeah, there you go, the stone head symbol on the chain, and clearly he was getting under Pereira's skin a little bit, and then even the way that Jamal came out to the cage, and then when Pereira's music hit, he walked over to the gate of the cage, like waving him in, and they were telling him he had to back up, and he was like, "Don't worry, I'll back up." But like, I'm waving him in here right now. And then I don't know if you guys saw this because it wasn't on the live broadcast, but I saw a clip of it later. That when Pereira shot his arrow, like he always does in his walkout, Hill caught it and snapped it over his knee. Like,
yeah,
I loved the whole, the whole vibes going into it, and just how Hill was so confident that he could strike with him. And he, he made a lot of people believe that he could. I was fairly 50-50 on the fight. I picked Pereira, but I was like, fuck, man, Hill could catch him for sure. And I still think he could catch him if they ran it back potentially. But my point is, like, he really had people believing he could go out there and knock out Alex Pereira. And 3 minutes in, he is out cold. Like, it's the dude is not normal. He measured Hill bit by bit the whole fight. You could see he kept putting his left hand on Hill's fist and kind of measuring it and tapping it when they would meet. And then in that final exchange, I mean, first of all, the wave off of Herb Dean after the nut shot was awesome.
Oh, historic.
Legendary.
And that's a little element in itself, because I know Hill like gave him the high five to be like, let's go again. I'm not sure that Hill like 100% mentally clicked himself back in, because he literally got rocked by the very next shot. So you'll always wonder that. But as I was saying about Pereira, then he kept tapping his hand. And then when he finished him, he grabs Hill's right hand and he moves it out of the way himself with his left. And now Hill is open and is so fast and needs so little windup with his left. He can knock you out with such short shots that from moving Hill's hand and letting go, he just throws this almost baby short left. And Hill's fucking out cold. Like, the dude's power is just, it's abnormal. And we've said it plenty of times on here. We'll continue to say it. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, he apparently shattered Francis Ngannou's record on that punch machine thing, which, like, that makes sense from the things that we're seeing. And he put him out. It's just, the dude is on one of the craziest, like, the resume that he already has in only however many fights, like, knocked out Izzy, knocked out Strickland.
He has 3 fights.
Beat Jan, beat Glover, knocked out Yuri. I mean, not Glover, sorry. Yuri's who I meant to say. Knocked out Hill. Like, it's already a Hall of Fame resume, and the dude has barely even been here. It's mind-boggling.
I was just going to say, one of the things I meant to bring up, I'll just bring it up now because piggybacking off of what you're talking about, I feel like we're kind of knocking on the door for Alex Pereira of having the conversation about where he's going to land among the all-time greats, because the guy is starting to really prove himself to be something special. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to have this little wade into the heavyweight waters. Who knows what happens there? But if he could collect some more knockouts against heavyweights, I mean, he's going to be in very high regard.
Yeah. All right, Omar, your turn. What are your thoughts on how this fight played out with Pereira doing Pereira things yet again?
Yeah, I mean, Mark kind of touched on it with the parry. I mean, he just kind of pawed the entire time, kind of measured his distance, and then just parried Jamal Hill's lead hand away and just cracked him with that left hand with that left hook. And it really is kind of amazing how much power that kid generates without really loading up or anything, right? Like you see a lot of guys when they try to finish people and they try to throw shots with power and things like that. There's a lot of body mechanics that go into it, a lot of looping a lot of times and things like that. And Alex Pereira is a guy who minimizes the amount of energy he really needs to use, and he only seems to use what he needs to, and it doesn't seem like it's a whole hell of a lot that he needs to use. It's really impressive to watch him strike because he's almost never out of position as a result of it. He's never overreaching. He's very very dangerous on the feet. I don't know if you guys saw that as part of that hook that he ended up stepping on Jamal Hill's foot
Yeah.
and sort of like trapping him in place almost.
Yeah.
Um,
You think that was intentional?
Probably, I'd do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
not
if
saying
it was.
it was like a dick move. I'm just saying I wondered if it was a coincidence or if he really meant to step on his foot.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it, especially if I was trying to keep a certain amount of distance. If I was trying to keep him there, right, from not
Yeah.
moving or anything like that. At the very minimum, even if he were to get his foot out of there, it would cause like a momentary disruption of some sort. So, I mean, I thought it was a great strategy, and it's little things like that. Even the parry with the left hand. I mean, it's such a simple, small thing to do, but it's not like you see that a ton in MMA on a regular basis, obviously, right? So it's like the way that Alex Pereira is able to utilize those little tricks, knowing when to do it, knowing how to set things up properly. I mean, you can see how quickly he can take advantage of situations like that, man. He's really nasty. And DC said something in one of his clips recently where he was like, "It's amazing how good Alex Pereira is. It's amazing how successful he's been, and this dude doesn't know how to wrestle." And I don't think any of that is inaccurate at all.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of going to get to this in my matchup, so maybe I'll save this point for a second.
All right.
Just to talk about things that I absolutely loved about the lead up to this fight and the fight itself. Yes, I totally agree with you, Mark. And Hill's unwillingness to show an ounce of hesitation or intimidation, I love to see it. You know, facing a guy who is probably the most intimidating athlete in the sport right now, and probably definitely one of the greats in terms of like stare down intimidators and super intense and scary guys in Pereira. And Hill ate it up. He was like, "Let's go. I'm not going to be super respectful. It's not that I'm going to be disdainful of you." But he was like, "I'm not going to back down for 1 second." And I loved seeing that, of just going toe to toe with the boogeyman. Now, the other thing that I loved about this fight, and that it didn't go Hill's way, obviously, is that Pereira does Pereira things, and to the point of that he hasn't really had to showcase much defensive wrestling thus far in his short MMA run, to the extent of that he has had somewhat favorable matchmaking. That's part of the sport, to be honest. But
Hmm.
you know, it is amazing that a guy like Hill, who is also mainly a striker, though, but Pereira just always ends up doing the Pereira thing, which is, and Mark, you talked about this too, of like, he really just like, he has the calf kick and he has the left hook. And it's just like, he's going to get you with it. He's just going to get you with it. It's just a matter of time. And the earlier in the fight, the more dangerous he is. I mean, that left hook, man, he has a tremendous and maybe underrated hand speed with his left hook, especially.
Yeah.
It lands like lightning. It's like a lightning strike, man, and it just shuts you off. So,
His leg kick is also a real problem too because his leg kick doesn't. There's not much to it, right? Like when you
yeah.
watch guys in Muay Thai throwing leg kicks and shit, there's a lot more body mechanics to it. A lot more like throwing your hip and your whole body into the kicks and stuff. But it apparently, for whatever reason, doesn't need to do that, and he simply just chucks his leg out there, hits the dude across the shin or on the back of the calf, and like that's pretty much all you need, man. And his leg strikes visibly may not look like they're doing a whole hell of a lot, but every time they land on somebody's leg, you can see their reaction to it. And nobody, and I mean not one person from 185 to 205, probably not even in heavyweight, seem to enjoy those leg kicks, man. It's a real debilitator.
I think the biggest thing with both of them is just how much trouble guys have seeing them because of what you just said. There is
Yeah.
no tell on the leg kick. There is no
Yep.
wind up on the leg kick. And I think dudes watch him and they're like, when I'm in there, I'll be able to make these reads and
Yeah.
I won't get caught the same way. And they're wrong. And it's the same thing with the left hook. It's like, it's hard to land a picture perfect knockout big left hook. It's not that hard to land little short left hooks in exchanges. Those kind of happen a lot. But for most people, it's like, oh, caught him with a left, fight continues. For Alex Pereira, it's like, well, caught him with a left. That's the end of the fight, no matter how small or big the left was. So
Yeah.
it's like he just has these gifts that allow him to land shots that guys anticipate, like, I'll watch out for that. But it's such an easy little shot in a lot of these times that you can't really watch out for that.
Right.
And it's got to be some of that God-given power too, man, to a certain extent, right? I mean,
Hell yeah.
he's definitely got technique. I know a lot of people apparently over this last week were talking about how they're not impressed with his technique necessarily, and he doesn't have a lot of technique and this, that, which I don't subscribe to in the least. But I think his foundation, his fundamentals, I think are so solid that he's able to do all of these little dumb things that people wouldn't tend to do, or maybe not even learn how to do right up front. You know what I mean? But he knows rhythm. He knows the timing. He knows where his body is in space. When he's throwing these leg kicks, he knows that he's not going to get countered in that moment. A lot of times when guys like turn their whole hip to throw leg kicks, they're doing it to get the hell out of the way of some sort of counter. But he does it with such understanding of where he is in the distance that it's impressive, man. It's really impressive. And it's, as much as people love him and things like that, a lot of guys still seem to underrate his game. And I don't know how many heads this man needs to take before they realize that he's a problem. The wrestling is obviously going to be a source of issue when it comes to him whenever we hit that point. But like, to dismiss what this man can do just seems really asinine at this point.
Yeah, man. Okay, let's talk about where he can go from here. He talked in his translated Octagon interview right after the fight in the cage there, what could be next. And he said, I want to fight at heavyweight. So what do you guys make of that, Mark?
So if they ever did let him hop on UFC 301 and it was against some heavyweight who happens to be ready just for like one fight, sure. I doubt they're letting him hop on UFC 301. And I don't want him to truly move to heavyweight yet. There's too much happening at heavyweight. There's Bones and Stipe. Aspinall could easily fight Curtis Blades. Gon is there. I mean, there's plenty happening. And he still has to fight Magomed Ankalaev, in my mind. I don't think there's any reason to entertain a move until he beats Magomed Ankalaev. Because, like, yes, he beat Jan and Yuri and Hill. But there's one other dude who is very clearly deserving of a title shot in this division. So I think he needs to fight that fight. And then this is when I'll circle back to the wrestling point. As much as I was saying a few minutes ago that he has this crazy resume already, if we really walk through it, it's Izzy, who tried to wrestle a little bit, but he's not any dominant
wrestler, not a
great wrestler by any means. It's Jan, who did try to wrestle, but he gassed at altitude within 5 minutes and was winning until he gassed. He was out wrestling Pereira. Not like Pereira was doing badly, but he was losing. Yuri, who didn't try to wrestle him, and Hill, who didn't try to wrestle him, and Strickland, who didn't try to. I mean, granted, that fight fucking barely lasted, but he probably wasn't going to try to wrestle him anyway. So he has, as much as these are unbelievable names, he's kind of got all these guys, other than the Jan altitude situation. And Jan's not even a dominant wrestler, if we're really being honest, who were not a wrestler. So I don't think we should be treating him like he is this unbeatable guy when really we haven't seen his wrestling tested at all. And as much as Magomed Ankalaev can be infuriating and sometimes not use his wrestling, you would have to think that if he got a title shot against Alex Pereira, his mindset would be, I'm going to take this dude down and maul him. And then we really find out.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. And he did say Ankalaev's name, to his credit. In the cage, he said heavyweight. In the post-fight, he was like, a lot of people keep telling me Magomed Ankalaev, they tell me I'm going to get out-wrestled and that's my toughest. And I agree. That I think that is his toughest test at light heavyweight. And he was like, and I want to show that it's not. So props to Pereira for being open to taking it.
Man, oh man. Omar, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Magomed Ankalaev one is the one that I feel like makes the most logical sense. Light heavyweight has been such a goddamn disaster in terms of that top echelon movement for at least 2 or 3 years at this point. Basically ever since Glover lost the belt to Jamahal Hill, and Jamahal Hill went on that injury hiatus. And even before then, it was what, 6 months before he got injured, and then we got noticed that he wasn't going to fight, and then Yuri came into the picture, and then Yuri won, and then Yuri got injured. So then we had to sacrifice the belt again, and like, I mean, it's been a mess. And I think we need a little consistency. We need a little stability in the light heavyweight division, and I think a title defense, maybe one from some fucking body who wins the title in that division, is warranted. So let's just have the one. And then if you want to go up and get crazy with a guy that has like 30 pounds on you, do what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Get that money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about the matchup for him at heavyweight. Yeah, if he faces a guy who has 30 pounds on him and it has a wrestling base, then he could be in for a long night.
I don't look. I know we just talked about his skill and how good he is and all that. Weight classes, like, especially when you're talking about a discrepancy. Tom Aspinall's a big dude, and he's not slow, and he knows how to strike. I am terrified for every top tier challenge in the heavyweight division for Alex Pereira, because they're all really bad matchups. Maybe Stipe would probably be like, and even
a lot
then,
of dudes can wrestle. Aspinall can wrestle. Blades can wrestle. Stipe can wrestle. Bones can wrestle. Did I say Blades? Blades can wrestle. I mean, yeah. Almeida, even. Yeah. I mean, he's not quite there, but you know what I mean.
I mean, in terms of what's necessary, I mean, I could see Almeida taking Pereira down to the ground and keeping his ass down there.
Yeah. I just mean not quite there at the top of heavyweight at the moment after the loss, but even the timing works out. Like, within a few months later this year, you could have booked all three of Pereira Ankalaev, Bones Stipe, and Aspinall Blades. Mm-hmm. So say like Bones and Aspinall win and Pereira wins. You could then say, all right, we're going to book Bones and Aspinall to unify this heavyweight title, and we're going to book Pereira against Cyril Gane. And the winner is going to fight the winner. Like, that's a hell of a timeline.
What does that timeline even look like? Because at this point, it doesn't seem like Jones and Stipe are going to fight before July at this point, minimum. So, like...
That's what I said. I said late summer.
Oh, late summer.
Because Aspinall's is 304, which is... When is that? Why can't I do things?
It's got to be June. July. It's got to be July. Yeah.
Yeah, 304 is July. Yeah, that's the UK card, right? I think so. I think it's 304.
We all know now what 303 is. Yeah, 304 is the return to Manchester. Yep.
Yeah. Which sucks for Leon, because they're probably going to make him wait for that card too, and the dude hasn't fought in age. But yeah, I guarantee you that card is Leon Bilal. Or Leon, maybe it's not Bilal. You would hope it is. And Aspinall versus somebody, probably Blades.
Can you imagine if it's still not Bilal? Like, I would be, if I was Bilal, man, I'd like sue somebody at this point. It's crazy, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should just fucking leave and go to the PFL and win $1 million bucks.
Yeah, you won't get the career accolades, but you'll at least get the career earnings you probably deserved at that point.
Yeah. Okay, let's resume the talk here about what could be next now for Mr. Jamahal Hill.
I think that's Yuri. I think that's a very easy one. They've talked their shit before. They were supposed to fight once before. They're both sitting there right now in the same spot, basically. Book it.
What do you think, Omar?
Yeah, I actually totally, as we were talking about the fact that they were supposed to fight before, I didn't even realize that they're kind of in a perfect spot to fight now. Especially if you have Ankalaev fighting for the championship, they're the next two that really need to go at it. And Yuri, I think Yuri has less of a reason to take that fight because he's at the top already, and I think he kind of has the idea that he doesn't need to, but I think he'd be really dumb not to take that fight and really cement the fact that he should be next on the list to fight for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, he did lose to Pereira. You would think you need more than one win to get another shot.
Yeah, that's valid.
Okay, well, let's move on from this main event. Man, Pereira is just so dangerous. Such a special striker. Such a tough recipe of skills for these fighters to figure out, man. His size, his athleticism, his power. Forget it.
How tall is Pereira? Like six?
That
On-
dude's got to be like 6'3", man.
I was gonna
On
say
Tapology,
6'4".
he's listed at 6'4".
Okay. So it's funny because this just crossed my mind right now, but I was talking to a guy yesterday that I know who actually lives in Bethel, Connecticut, which is where Pereira lives and where Glover's gym is.
Oh,
And
I thought it was Danbury.
well, they're like, it's like
It's like right
towns
next to
that
each other.
spill into each other, basically. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I think the actual address of Glover's gym is Bethel, but then I think Pereira's house might be in Danbury and Glover's too, something along those lines. But this dude is like same size as me. He might even be like, yeah, no, we're probably the same height. So he's like 6'2". And he was telling me that he sees Pereira around and he's like, bro, I feel like he's a giant. Like I feel like a midget when I'm near him.
Wow.
Like where our height is not supposed to be so different. And I feel like he is a giant human when I see him. I was like, yeah, I believe that checks out.
Yeah, man. Damn, he's a big dude. I mean, we've all seen that picture of him in training with Dominic Reyes at the time when Pereira was still at middleweight, and it was like, holy shit.
yeah.
He
I
looks like
remember
he's
that.
a lot bigger than Reyes.
Yeah. Yep.
Bigger and taller. Just
Yeah.
straight up larger than Reyes.